Makeup by Mario has come out with a brand new palette for the holidays, and it's inspired by one of his best sellers. You may have heard of his original Ethereal Eyes palette. This came out 2 years ago for the holidays, and it was a hot commodity. It sold out so fast. They brought it back last year again so everyone could get their hands on it, and people were really loving this one. It was probably like one of the top palettes of 2022. So of course this year he came out with a new version. You can tell this one's a little more neutral, a little more slightly warm, and now he's doing more of a cool tone one. This is called the Ethereal Eyes Moonlight, and this one is going to be limited edition again. I don't know why he doesn't make these permanent, but it is limited, so if you're wanting this one, you might want to get your hands on it soon. But this is the more cool toned version. Here they are side by side, and we will be doing some comparisons towards the end of the video. But overall, this one I just feel like looks a little bit deeper, and again, it's going to be more cool tones with a mix of mattes and shimmers. Now he does have like one shade that's a little just more straight metallic on the eyes, but a lot of his shimmers are going to be more glimmery shimmers, kind of comparable to an Urban Decay Moon Dust, where it's going to look almost wet in different light, but just think of them kind of more as eyeshadow toppers. They're not going to be just like a super pigmented metallic on the eyes. Of course, I'm going to include some swatches for you so you could see, but I love that this one goes a little bit deeper than the first Ethereal Eyes, because the first one I felt like was a little bit on the light side. I feel like it needed one more deep brown, so I like that this one includes a very dark black, and it's a really good formula black too in this one. This palette retails for $68, which is the same as the original when it came out. It is available now on Sephora and Makeup by Mario's website. Unfortunately, the original is not for sale anymore. I don't know if he has plans to bring it back this holiday season, so we might be out of luck for that one. But like I said, these are limited, and they usually mean limited. Maybe we'll see it make a resurgence, but I'm surprised again he doesn't make these permanent. He does have two other, I think, more permanent palettes in his line that have all mattes, but for some reason his shimmer ones are limited edition. But anyways, that's a look at this palette. We're gonna go ahead and test it on the eyes. I'm gonna show you guys this look I did and kind of let you guys know my thoughts on this one. Alright, let's dive into the palette so we can do a fun kind of cool tone smoky look for the fall and holiday season. Since I am kind of testing this, I am going to be using a lot of shades today because I want to get a feel for everything, but I also want this to be a wearable look too. I think I want to start with this cool tone, more taupe shade in the crease, and we'll kind of just blend this all over in this fold here. And I take mine a little bit above just because I do have a little bit of more of a hooded eye. I have smaller eyes, so I like to make an illusion of some extra space. Let's do the same thing on the other side. What I do like about Makeup by Mario's matte shadows is that they are beginner friendly. They are buildable. They're not going to be super dark right off of the bat. So you have room to make mistakes, you have room to build. You're not just going to get a straight shot of color and not be able to blend it out. So these are very beginner friendly, and it just kind of depends on your taste of eyeshadow. Some people like something a little more pigmented that they don't have to work with or build up as much, but I feel like I'm fine either way if I have to build or not. And I do feel like this one actually has more depth to it than the previous Makeup by Mario palette. So now what I'm going to do is actually build up with this darker gray. I do tap the excess off just like that on the palette, and then I'm gonna kind of smooth this towards the outer half of the eye very gently, just to kind of create a little bit of an ombre. And I'm just using a Sephora 24 brush. This is great for detail work. I'm just kind of blending that outwards a little bit. I like everything very seamless, so I take a larger fluffy brush too and just buff those outer edges so there's no harsh lines. This is a Sigma E40. I'll try to link all the brushes used down below. I always use all sorts of different ones and different brands. Now for the very outer corner, I am going to go in with a dark black in this palette. I'm really excited to use this because swatching it, it seemed really nice. And I'm taking more of a little flat brush. This is a 206 from BK Beauty, and just kind of tapping that here in the outer corner to just build that pigmentation. And I'm just going to take that same fluffy Sigma brush and blend that out. And then we can just, you know, build up a little bit more with that brush if we want to. And just keep blending that out. Because I don't need mine to be super, super dark black in the outer corner. This kind of smokes it out into like almost a gray. We can even take that same Sephora small brush from earlier and just tap a little bit more in that very outer half if you want a little more depth like that. But so far I'm really impressed with how the shadows are laying down. This is a really good black matte, which is really hard to come by, I feel like, with certain palettes. This just blends really seamlessly and it makes it easy. It makes smoky eyes easy. I'm just taking what's ever left over on my brush and sweeping that in the lower lash line, which really isn't much, but I want to just kind of start a little smoky layer down here. I know for me, I wasn't really excited about the blue tones in this palette, but I figured let's add some in and play with it. I'm just going to add a tiny bit on this BKA 504, and we're going to lightly just smoke that blue here on the lower lash line. And we're just going to start light and just kind of build that up. Honestly, this is looking less blue than I anticipated, so I am very happy about that. It actually translates more gray on the eyes. I do have blue eyes myself, so maybe this slight hint of blue will make my eyes pop just a little bit more. I love working with cool tone shades. I am just going to take a black eyeliner as well here and add this right where you can see the nude of my lower lash line here, because I want that covered up because it looks funny otherwise. So I'm just kind of messily lining that. I'm going to line my tight line too up here, and I'm going to smudge that out. So I'll get a little closer to the eye with this one and just kind of smudge that eyeliner, and it honestly kind of sets itself as well when you do this, so that you're not going to get much transfer throughout the day, and it won't be smudgy throughout the day either. So I do like to kind of smudge that, and that will deepen up that lower lash line too. But you can tell this is a really good formula because I don't have a lot of fallout underneath, and I don't have a huge messy under eye. Sometimes you guys see my looks and I look a little crazy until I get my concealer done, but it actually looks really, really clean. And yeah, sometimes it just helps. I have a little bit of a smudge right here I can clean up, but sometimes it just helps to take your time with things and not rush. I am going to use this A505 brush from BK Beauty, and I'm going to take the metallic gray in here, just kind of putting a little bit on my brush, and I'm going to place this kind of in the outer half of the eye. I am going to go in with the more glittery shimmers on top, but this is like the one metallic shade that doesn't have a lot of glitter to it, just so you guys can see how that looks and applies. I've been liking to put my shimmers on with a brush lately because I feel like they crease less throughout the day. I have very oily eyelids, and I find when I use my finger, some of the oils from my skin like mixes with my eyeshadow, and yes, it looks more vibrant when you apply with your fingers at first, but my eyeshadows will crease really badly midday. I finally figured that out. So I've just been applying everything with a brush now. And let's do the same thing with a glitter topper. Let's use this one. This is a really pretty lighter glimmery gray. And we'll go ahead and place that here in the inner part and work that into the center. Now these are a little bit of different tones, so I don't know how I feel about that because this has a little more gold in it than the gray we used, but we will just kind of mix them together and make it work. These are a little bit more like toppers, and they're really beautiful in the eyes. That's why they call it the Ethereal palettes, because they do have more glimmer to them. And then, oh my gosh, low lighting or in the sun, the sparkle just hits and it is stunning. Now I know not everyone likes a little bit of glitter, but I do not mind. Okay, now I'm just kind of messing around. I'm actually taking a little bit of this more duochrome icy shimmer. I actually feel like this matches better with this look than the one that I use, so I'm just kind of taking that as well all over the lid. But yeah, that goes much better with the shimmer that I picked out. Now let's clean this up. I actually really like the Makeup by Mario concealer. It's really good if you have more oily skin and don't mind a bit more coverage under the eyes. So we'll go ahead and put that on, and this will clean that under eye right up. I'm just powdering here with my puff to keep that nice and matte. I will say you're gonna notice some glitter fallout with these shadows because they're not a super wet glitter formula. They are more loose, so there is going to be fine flakes of glitter on the skin. You can definitely use a more sticky primer, like let's say NYX glitter glue, to help prevent that. But yeah, it is going to get some very fine glitter particles just under the eyes. It's not like super noticeable though, only from close up. But yeah, there is going to be loose glitter, so some people may not enjoy that. Here's the full makeup look. I did add a tiny half lash that I got off Amazon, and I'm also using this fun Patrick Ta Barbie like blush and lip today. But let's get into my thoughts on the palette so far. So I'm gonna give you my first thoughts and impressions on this palette so far. I do try a lot of palettes, so I have a pretty good idea if I like something and if I don't, but I will go ahead and update you guys. But so far, I like it, and I think if you love the formula and you really love the first edition, you will like this one too. It's basically the same formulas, but there is some things to keep in mind because you have to like glitter topper shades. You have to not mind a little bit of glitter fallout on the face. These are more glimmery shadows, but I feel like when the light hits, they just look so sparkly and so beautiful on the eyes. You can definitely do something a little more toned down with this one too if you want for every day. Even just throwing on one of the shades on the lid, acting like an Urban Decay Moon Dust shadow. I wear those alone like all the time. But if you're expecting like full metallic shimmers, that is not what you're getting with this one, but this one definitely has some more depth to it than the original. Now, you definitely have to like more cool tones, more smoky tones. I am kind of curious to try and play with a little bit more of the browns in the palette because I didn't love how it looked when I tried to do this bronze with kind of the darker smoky tones in here. I feel like that's going to pair more, and this one too will pair better with the browns in the palette. So you can go a little bit more neutral if you want to. This is just more of a dramatic smoky look. I will be straight up with you guys. I am more wowed with some of the looks I get with some of Natasha Denona's cooler tone palettes, or even Huda's cooler tone palettes, even like Glamlite Ghostface. I feel like you get a little bit more punch, and the shimmers are just a little bit more exciting to me, while these are just more glittery. But I did use this original palette quite a bit in the past couple of years. It's a great just everyday palette, so I'm hoping I will try to like pull this out more and use it more. But yeah, I will tell you, just formula wise, it doesn't rank in my top tier, but I was impressed with the mattes in here and how buildable they are and very beginner friendly. Now, I had so many questions to compare them, and I do feel like they are pretty different, but there is 4 shades in each of the palettes that kind of look similar. So I did swatch them kind of next to each other so you could see how the original Ethereal Eyes looks, and of course the new Moonlight version. Obviously this one comes off a lot more cool tone, more smoky, but there is a few shades that I swatched next to each other in each of the palettes. I compared EM3 from the Moonlight palette with EE5 from the Ethereal Eyes. I also compared EM6 from the Moonlight with EE2 from the Ethereal, and EM7 from the Moonlight with EE11 from Ethereal, and lastly EM9 from the Moonlight with EE12 from the Ethereal. So there's definitely some comparable shades within that don't match up exactly, but they are very, very close. So I hope this video was helpful for you and just giving you guys pretty much everything you need to know about this new eyeshadow palette. I wanted to get it here and get this video up ASAP if it's something you have your eye on. I think this will be a popular pick for the upcoming Sephora savings event. If it lasts until then, hopefully, but that starts November 1st for Rouge. I will be doing a video with some of my top picks for that. But yes, this will be a hot palette for this holiday season. Just keep in mind what your preferences are with eyeshadow palettes. Do you like something a little bit more glittery and glimmery on the eyes, a little more wet looking, or do you prefer like a strong, thicker metallic? That's kind of going to make or break if this is going to be a palette that you really like. And of course, take into account the cool tones as well. I feel like cool tones aren't always as popular as something more neutral like the original Ethereal eyes, but overall I'm happy with this one. As much as I loved my original, I think I'll get some good use out of this one as well. Let me know your thoughts down below. Did you pick this one up? Are you waiting for a sale, or are you completely passing on it? But thanks so much for watching. I have not done a dedicated palette review in a while. Let me know if you want one on the upcoming Natasha Denona Roxa palette as well. That's a little more purple, but I'm gonna let you guys go and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.